Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matthew back with Watty's channel, and as you can see from today's title, we are not returning to the LJN Tag Team Tournament. So, as I may have stated, actually I did state in the very first video, the goal was to choose my favorite tag team figure from a multitude of different toy lines. So I mentioned also that if the LJN figures, which I wanted to start off with first, did go countless videos, if it went too long, I wanted to keep it separated by LJNs. But because round one only consisted of four videos, it's not going to be like a crazy long tournament or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is kind of look at it as Group A, LJNs, Group B, Hasbro, Group C, Galoob, and Group D, Remco. So round one, each group will have their own breakdown, and then we'll start going into round two with each individual group. For the other thing I wanted to do was keep just loose figures because it's going to be really hard to look at some of the package figures. But with some of these tag teams, I don't exactly have them loose. Or a figure like for Hasbro with Smoking Guns, like I had Bart Gunn loose, but then I went out and I bought the Bart Gunn package with Bubble, and then I took the Bart Gunn figure and I put it inside that package and taped it up. So I don't have a loose Bart Gunn now. So if I want to put the Smoking Guns in this competition, the only way to do so is to have Bart Gunn packaged with, Billy Gunn, etc. So, or if I want to put Rhythm and Blues together, and I want my custom, Rhythm and Blues Hasbro, Greg Valentine with the Honky Tonk Man. Again, I want that package figure to be shown with the Honky Tonk Man figure. So something like that, yes, I might have no choice but to use that package figure. I don't have every single Remco figure loose. I have about 95% of the figures loose. So for those figures I don't have, those tag teams I don't have loose, again, I might have to have the package figures stand in. But that's why we're not returning to Series 2 or Round 2. That's why we're moving on from LJN for this particular video. So this isn't a brand new tournament. This is still the same exact tournament. We're just moving on to a different group. And I do have all the tag teams written down. And same thing, we're going to pick the names randomly. So some of the names... So essentially, I'm going to pick the names. I want to pick the figures that I think give me the best opportunity for success. For example, if I'm going to choose the Dream Team, I'm not going to choose your Series 1 Brutus Beefcake because you're basically going to get that team is going to be eliminated first time go. I already know. However, if I choose Series 3 Brutus Beefcake to tag with the Series 3 Greg Valentine, much greater opportunity for that tag team to go a lot further in competition because that Greg Valentine tag teaming with that Series 3 Brutus, an awesome pairing. So, let's dive in and see how this Hasbro Group B version goes. So, the first matchup is going to feature High Energy. This tag team, I've been talking about them forever. I didn't actually remember their name, and I don't know if it's laziness or forgetfulness, but I never actually looked them up, not until Bone Breaking Action actually mentioned their name in one of the messages, and I'm like, man, I had to kind of look it up as I was reading it. I'm like, that name sounds so familiar, and then I finally did look it up. I'm like, son of a gun, there it is. I never in a million years would remember that name if he didn't mention it. And I'm so grateful for that because I remember the tag team. I just could not, for the life of me, ever remember the name. But High Energy will be part of this tournament. And I am going to keep Coco Beware and Owen Hart together because I am going to utilize the Jim Neidhart with Bret Hart for the Hart Foundation. So that's the only reason why I'm keeping Owen with Coco for this particular matchup, or this particular tag team. So they will square off against the Nasty Boys Customs. Next matchup is going to feature the Steiner Brothers as they do battle against the Hart Foundation. And because I want to give the greatest opportunity for success, I'm going to select the Series 8 Bret Hart to tag team with the Series 5 Jim Neidhart. The Mega Powers are going to tag team with, are going to square off against the Nasty Boys. And then the fourth matchup is going to feature the Rockers squaring off against Strike Force. Now, the one bad thing about Hasbro is really you only have about 4 legitimate tag teams. So in Series 2, you came out with the Rockers, you came out with the Bushwhackers, and you came out with Demolition, Smash, and Crush. So 5 legitimate tag teams. And then in Series 4, you had the Nasty Boys and you had Legion of Doom. Now later on, you know, in Series 9, yeah, you came out with like a single card re-release of the Tan Bushwhackers. And you came out with... no, I'm sorry, the Bushwhackers were Series 10. And then you came out with Head Shrinkers on in Series 10 on single card. In Series 9, you had single card release of the Steiner Brothers. All legitimate tag teams, but they were single card release. So, not necessarily your tag team as you would see with like the Rockers, Bushwhackers, etc. So, but we all classify them as tag teams because, you know, we know what they were. And, you know, if you're the WWF or, you know, Hasbro, what have you, do you sell tag team packages for $7.99 or do you release them on single card for $5.99? It's as simple as, do you sell them individually sell them for $12 for 2 figures, or do you sell them for, you know, a 1-pack and get $8 for 2 figures? So it's as simple as that. So I understand why they did those single releases, but it was just nice to get those dual releases. But yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to pull these figures. Again, we're only going to do 4 matchups. I'm probably going to have to do a 5 matchup video in the last couple of videos I do. So in the first 4 videos, first 3 videos I did for the LJN, so I had 30 figures or 30 teams for LJN. I only have 22 teams for Hasbro. So with 8 teams here, 16 teams in the first 2 videos. So I only have 6 teams, 3 matchups. So this is only going to be 3 videos for Hasbro. So a lot quicker, and probably a video or 2 for Hasbro, for a Galoob, maybe another video or 2 for Remco. So this will probably go back pretty smoothly, and then we'll dive back into round 2. Alright, I'm going to pause here and pull the figures, and we'll get started. Alright, so I do have the names pulled. The first tag team we are looking at are High Energy, Owen Hart and Coco Beware. So, great action figures. In fact, as far as fan favorites, maybe because I didn't really like Owen Hart, the way that he kind of betrayed his brother and kind of became a bad guy, I kind of lost respect for him. At the time of his death in the late 90s, I had stopped watching wrestling. You know, obviously it's something that you kind of hear about either in the news or whatnot. So, I mean, that was obviously very depressing to hear. I mean, something like that, you never want to hear about anybody, you know, passing. It always, you know, hits you when you hear about anybody's death. Someone that you've watched wrestle, someone that you grew up watching, someone that you actually cared about at some point, you always knew it was staged, and they're actors essentially as much as athletes. You knew that them becoming bad guys wasn't real, so that character change, it was scripted. It sucked. This tag team themselves, I said it before, I always felt like Owen Hart was a really talented wrestler in his own right. Coco Beware to me was a level just above a jobber. I really enjoyed this figure, even though I don't really covet the fused legs. I really like this figure. And in fact, I've actually seen an SD Jones custom, with the red shirt and blue shorts. And with this exact, basically molded after the Coco Beware. I actually love the fact that they took some LJN figures and kind of crafted them, took some Hasbro figures and crafted LJN versions after them. So I thought that was pretty awesome. This tag team together, high energy, to me doesn't work as a group. Love the figures individually. Not a fan of Coco Beware. As a kid, yeah, I really liked them. As an adult, I said it before, Bushwhackers. I love the Bushwhackers as a kid. I love Coco Beware as a kid. I can't stand these guys as an adult. I think they were terrible. Owen Hart, adequate. They are squaring off against my custom Nasty Boy figures. I had these figures during my tournament, my favorite Hasbro tournament, and me being an idiot, for whatever reason, I never pulled them off the shelves, and thus they were never added to that tournament. Would they have won? No. But they, in my opinion, they could have made it to the third round, maybe even the fourth round. Could they have gone past the third or fourth round? Possibly. If the custom Bret Hart made it to, the fourth round, fifth round, I mean, these guys could have made it just as far. These were also made by, I believe, Denver Moore, if I'm not mistaken. Denver Moore, who made the Sting, and he also made the Bret Hart custom. So, we already know the Nasty Boys are, one of my all-time favorite tag teams. Absolutely love these guys. Their faces, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily like these face molds better than the Hasbro originals, but with the jacket additions and with the little chains and everything, these are great pieces. I love them. I love the fact that the arms still move, so they're not like stationary figures or anything. Absolutely, the Nasty Boys are going to beat these. I think they're better figures overall, and of course, nostalgia, and as far as history, I enjoy the Nasty Boys so much more than either of these characters. All the way, Nasty Boys, no doubt. Nasty Boys defeats High Energy. The next matchup was going to feature the Steiner brothers as they did battle against the Hart Foundation. So, a lot of these Hasbro tag teams, they're basically makeshift tag teams because you don't have a lot of real tag teams. Like I said, you can have your general tag teams that came in 2-packs together, or you can have your tag teams like the Head Shrinkers and the Series 10, Bushwhackers with Tan. And what else came out? The Steiner Brothers in Series 9. That came out. All these figures that came out on a single card. Yeah, those are all legitimate tag teams you could put together. But then you're going to have 8 or 9 tag teams. Maybe less than that. But finding legitimate tag teams, there's not that many. Which means you're only going to have about a video and a half worth of tag teams to put together. So, if you want to put together a substantial amount of videos and tag teams to actually talk about, yes, you're going to have to put figures like these together. You're going to have to put figures like El Matador, Tito Santana, along with the model Rick Martel, in order to create a Strike Force tandem. Are they legitimate? No, because that's not what it's the 90s. It's not the same Strike Force figures. I got it. But, again, you're pretending essentially for the Hasbro. But, again, I chose the Series 8 Bret Hart only because I think the Series 8 Bret Hart allows this tag team the best opportunity for advancement in this tournament. A lot better than the Series 4 version. Now, even though I really enjoy the Series 5 Jim Neidhart figure, don't get me wrong, great figure overall. In comparison to the Series 8 or even the Series 4 Bret Hart, it's a complete letdown in comparison. I mean, the Bret Hart figure is one of the greatest figures of all time. Not just Hasbro, just one of the greatest wrestling figures, period. And then you compare them to the Steiner brothers. Scott and Rick Steiner, two absolutely perfect figures that I absolutely love. Rick Steiner, who is like easily a top 12, maybe top 15 at worst Hasbro figure. Scott Steiner, who's probably a top 20, top 25 for me. The only downside that I ever said about Scott Steiner is the same thing that you would find with like Crush. And I don't know who else is on that list. Scott Crush and Adam Bomb, guys like that with, for whatever reason, it shouldn't bother me, but it does. That little left arm, because it's further out than the right, it just, I don't know. But it does give you like that perfect body slam, even better than if the arms were perfectly inward, but shoot. So, Heart Foundation. I didn't really know of the Heart Foundation as a kid. I think by that point, when I was actually into wrestling, I don't know if the Heart Foundation were actually still wrestling together. Memory-wise, I know them better as individual wrestlers than as a duo. Of course, I've always known of them as, tag teams. That was never a question. But I definitely know Bret Hart, especially as an individual wrestler. I definitely know Jim Neidhart as an individual wrestler. I know him as a tag team partner with like Owen as an example. The Steiner brothers, one of my favorite tag teams. I always think of them as WCW wrestlers. Great figures. Neither one is better than the Bret Hart figure. But these two in comparison to the Neidhart figure, light years better. And it sucks to give up on the Bret Hart so early, but come on. I have to push the Steiner brothers forward. These are just two fantastic figures. Love them. Awesome pieces. I think because I had just done my favorite Hasbro tournament very recently, I'm thinking it's making it a lot easier for me to make these selections a little bit more easier on me than if I had just done this tournament, before the previous my favorite Hasbro tournament. So I'm thinking that's helping a whole lot. Alright. This one I'm not looking forward to. Yeah, this one I'm not excited about at all. And, let's see. Heart Foundation is out. Steiner Brothers are in. So, if you were looking at a finalist for Hasbro tag teams, these two tag teams are legitimate finalists. And it is, if I could get them together. Alright, here we go. The Mega Maniacs versus the Nasty Boys. this matchup sucks because, like I said, these are possibly should be your finalists for the best tag teams. All right, so you've got the Hulk Hogan mail away, which I am using as the Hogan for the Mega Maniac, and you've got the Mega Maniac Brutus Beefcake. So during the My Favorite Hasbro tournament, Brutus Beefcake was one of the last 3 figures standing. He was a finalist in that tournament. Absolutely perfect figure. Again, he's essentially a Series 3 Zebra Pants Beefcake, repainted. One of those figures that, was going to be released, and for whatever reason, just like the Rhythm and Blues, Hasbro just never released, but they should have, because this is a fantastic prototype figure. Awesome, love it. I don't know. There's just certain characters that I really think mesh really well together. Like, I always talk about like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior being like that perfect duel, and Hulk Hogan and Macho Man being like that perfect tandem, because they're two, perfect ultra mega superstars, working in tandem. But they also, when you have those two egos working together, it's like having Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant on the same team. Again, you got two super mega stars on the same team who are always wanting the ball at the same time. They're always wanting to be that guy who wants to score 30, 40, 50 points a game. So, ego is going to come into effect, and what's going to happen? You can't really have two guys scoring 50 points every game. Somebody is going to have to take lead at some point. That's why the Bulls were so successful. Everybody knew, hey, you've got Jordan. He's going to be your guy that's going to score 40, 50 points a game. Scottie Pippen was perfectly content being your guy to put up 30 points a game. And then you got your backups, your Tony Kukoc, your Ron Harper, who's going to put up 20, even close to 30 points a game. And that they were okay with that. And, your team was legitimately putting up 100, 120, 130 points a game. And, you guys were winning 60, 70 games a year. I think with guys like Brutus Beefcake, who didn't have to be your mega superstar, he was a perfect complement to a Hulk Hogan. And you know what? Guys like Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine may have been perfect complements, worked really well together, gelled, just meshed really well. But you want that guy that's really going to put you over the hump, and Hulk Hogan was that guy. And I think the Mega Maniacs may not have been a long-term solution or long-time fix, but you know what? For as long as they work together, perfect. And these two, awesome. What really sucks is they are squaring off against quite possibly the greatest tag team that the Hasbro line produced. And it's difficult because when it comes to the legitimate tag team, 2-pack sets, even if it doesn't even have to be the 2-pack sets, it could be any of the tag teams that, Hasbro put out, even the single card releases. Either Legion of Doom or Nasty Boys, I still have trouble making a decision as to which tag teams I like better. At the end of the day, I still feel like the Nasty Boys have the best versions. I think their poses at the end are just the best. I really love the chest plates, the spikes on the Legion of Doom. That's what really gets me, but these fighting poses make them the most enjoyable for play and for poses. Stance-wise, don't have to worry about these guys falling over on you. These are absolutely amazing pieces. I can say that at least one set of Nasty Boys have already moved forward to round 2. So, do I really need a second set in the second round? There is already a pair of Nasty Boys in. It would be nice to have 2 pairs, have 2 copies to give it 2 opportunities to see Nasty Boys win. But do I want to get rid of the Mega Maniacs so early in competition? I mean, there are other opportunities for Brutus Beefcake. You know, he's got the Dream Team. You know, you got the Mega Powers for Hulk Hogan, so there are other opportunities for these characters to proceed. It doesn't have to be this tag team. Do I want to get rid of 2 perfect Hasbro originals so early? Or do I want to push out possibly 2 of the best figures, 2 perfect customs? It's difficult, but I am going to have to say goodbye to the Nasty Boys. And like I said, these should have been like legitimate finalists. That sucks. That really hurts. But the Mega Powers, these guys rock. Alright. Oh shoot. Nasty Boys goes here. Mega Powers over here. Alright, so we got the Rockers and we've got Strike Force. Alright, so nothing special here. Your Series 2 release of the Rockers squaring off against your makeshift tandem of Strike Force. Alright, so let's start off with your main tag team. As a kid, this was the only tag team I had. You know, I actually got a lot of use out of these guys, but at the same time, they weren't exactly the most fun, I guess. I absolutely love the Rockers, so of course I got a lot of play on them. Marty Jannetty, even to this day, I always appreciated Marty Jannetty far more than Shawn Michaels. But then when Shawn Michaels had his little heel turn and everything, I started disliking Shawn Michaels even more, and even got even more use out of Marty Jannetty because, you know, who wanted the bad guy? But of course, you know, I got use out of these because, you know, again, you always make use out of whatever you have available to you. And even though they both sucked essentially, you know, you got to make use what you have. And you see the Series 9 Marty Jannetty, they keep the same head, but it's still a perfect figure in comparison. Same thing with the Shawn Michaels re-releases. Change out the head for Series 7, re-release in Series 10. Perfect figures. Amazing. These pretty much thrown out the window. So, if you're the type of guy who doesn't really care about completing the collection, you just want to pick and choose your favorite figures, never in a million years would anybody ever want to pick these guys up. Nobody cares about these. These are trash essentially. These are, again, the only people that want these figures are people like me who want to complete a collection, and that's it. That's the only purpose. Or maybe if you're someone who just wants to pick up a handful of figures just to say, hey, I got a few of these figures that I had as a kid. That's it. Nothing good about these. The only thing that's saving grace for these particular figures are their namesake. I absolutely love the Rockers as a kid. I will always love the Rockers. High Flyers, amazing tag team. The way that they fly through the ropes, their agility, you know, in and out of the ring, like, you know, they come in, they do their stuff, they tag in, they tag out. You know, they're not in there for 10 minutes before they tag a partner, and, you know, that partner's in for 10 minutes. You wouldn't think that, you know, being in there for 30 seconds, tagging in, and having the other guy come in for like 10, 15 seconds, then tagging back out again, you think that'd be annoying, but No, these guys, they really made that work. An amazing. And I just do not understand why they broke these guys up. They were so good together. I mean, could you imagine like that happening to like Legion of Doom, for example? Some tag teams should really stay together for life, and these were a perfect tandem. You could have still gave them their single runs too. You didn't. I mean, you could have kept them together though, and had them with their single runs. Made no sense. So, as I talked about, because we really don't have a lot of tag teams to talk about, you're going to have to create these little makeshift tag teams. I don't really remember Strike Force as a kid, but I know all too well, and I just picked up a couple. Well, this one was my main figure, but like this guy, he's just a duplicate, and you could tell because of the weird tone flash to his face. So we got El Matador, Tito Santana. I absolutely despise the Tito Santana LJN, but for whatever reason, I might want to pick up a El Matador Tito Santana. I don't know if I want to use a regular Tito Santana figure, or if I want to have like someone like make ones from like another figure or something else. I don't know. But El Matador and the model Rick Martel. Rick Martel, AWA heavyweight champion, mega superstar. I just never felt that same way about Tito Santana. I think not quite low level. I mean, the man was not only a tag team champion, I think he was Intercontinental champion as well. So the man was a superstar in his own right. Hearing about I love watching the Greg Valentine shoot videos. The man taught and has knowledge about pretty much every single wrestler on the planet. I mean, the man's got like decades of knowledge. It's so incredible. And he was talking about like basically how he and Tito Santana had like a 3-year period where they were like basically chasing each other for the championship belt, Intercontinental belt, whatnot. And so I guess he had a knee injury. And he was initially supposed to drop the belt to Paul Orndorff, but because Greg Valentine had the figure 4 leg lock as his finisher, they ended up dropping the belt to Greg Valentine instead. And about a year later or so, Tito Santana won the belt back from him. And I thought that's pretty awesome. Don't know anything about these guys together as a tag team, but as a figure competition, above all else, 1,000,000%, of course, the Strike Force figures, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, are going to just roll right over the Rocker figures. There's not even a question about it. If we're just talking about Rockers or Strike Force, Rockers all day. Not even a question. But these figures, 1,000,000 times better. The Rick Martel figure alone, better than all the other three figures combined. Not even a question. I mean, there's no reason to even go for any further than that. So, we have our first four winners, 4 competitors. And like I said, there's only 22 tag teams, so we're only going to have 3 videos. I'm going to try my best to make all 3 videos right now and have them in queue and ready for posting when the time comes. Maybe one video gets posted today, maybe not. But if I do post tonight, then we should have all 3 videos posted in each of the next 3 days. Well, that closes out the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.